know that thing. I didn't realize that the oil acted like as medicine.
Yep.
And so that made it like make so much more sense and kind of put it into perspective, I guess. Um, saying like my cup overflows because he's always there, he's always protecting you and always there to help you whenever you're hurt.
The thing about the oil, I didn't mention in the sermon, it has a double meaning. Does anybody know what the other meaning is? It's definitely medicine, but it has a double meaning. Anybody want to take a guess? Anybody know their Bible real well? And it has to do with David and David's life. Anybody want to talk about it? Anybody know? Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you. Satori, you got your hand up. Do you have your hand up about that or something else?
It was about the biggest takeaway,
All right.
but I can guess.
Go ahead and guess.
David was a king, and like, wasn't there some kind of ceremony to do with the oil and the king?
Yep. When Saul was king, Saul did some wicked things, and God said, okay, I'm anointing a new king. And he told Samuel to go to the house of Jesse. And through a series of events, he selected David to be the king, and he anointed David's head with oil. So it has a double meaning. It is, in a sense, kind of like you're a king, you're my son, you're my chosen one. But from a shepherd's angle, it's I'm going to doctor you up. So it's kind of a little bit of both. All right. Biggest takeaway, Satori, what is it?
I think it was probably whenever you said, like, and you hear this all the time that God provides for your needs, but like hearing it in this lesson and hearing it going along with the other verses and along with like the rest of the lesson, it just like it's almost like it really sunk in because like he always provides for us no matter what. He always gives us, as you said, I think he gives us an abundant eternal life. I think it was. He always provides for us for our every need, and also not to get our needs and our wants mixed up, because a lot of times I know that we do that. And
Yep.
we think that he's not giving me what I need whenever it's really a want.
Yep. So the whole table thing, y'all got that it's not a piece of furniture. It's a flat place. So you can take all of Psalm 23 and divide it into 4 scenes. Never thought about this until I was studying this. The first scene is the pasture. Okay. He makes me lie down in green pastures. That's the first part of Psalm 23. The second part, anybody want to take a guess what the second scene is? It's the valley. There you go. I see hand. I see you. Okay. It's the valley of the shadow of death. And then the third scene is the sheepfold, which is the table, the flat place, with some stone around it. And it's where a shepherd would take the sheep toward the end of the evening. Sometimes they would just stay the night there. They had these scattered all throughout the countryside. And then the fourth scene is next week. Anybody know what the fourth scene is? It is, and I will what? I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So it's the master's house. So the final scene is we're home. Okay. And so the sheepfold is like our home away from home, which is where we're at in the here and now. And the house, that we're going to is heaven, And so it's really, really a cool thing. I never thought of it like that before. So the whole sheepfold thing is it's a place to rest, to have an abundant life. Jesus says, I've come to give you a life and give it abundantly. And he wasn't just talking about dying and going to heaven. He was talking about the here and now. And the abundant life is not a life where you're necessarily rich with money and things, but it's where you have joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control, the fruit of the Spirit, Galatians 5:22. So that's really what he's talking about. So anyway, it's that whole table is just that flat place that's safe. It's got a wall around it, where he tends to our wounds. He helps us with our hurts. He saves us, and then he protects us. So what did you guys think about? And I shared this a few weeks back, but I did it on the live stream tonight. What did you guys think about the whole idea of Jesus being the gate? Did anybody pick up on that or think anything about that? Satori, what you want to say?
I think it's really cool how like the picture that you put up there to really be able to think about it that way, how he had um the bricks or the rocks built up in a pen and all the sheep were in it, and how he was in the middle because in nothing could get in through it without coming through him, and nothing
Yep.
could get out.
Yep.
And so he protected a good shepherd would protect the sheep and not run away. He would protect them and not let anything get in and die for them, which is exactly what Jesus did wherever he died for us and he protects us.
Yep. I love this idea of, there's verses galore in the Bible in the New Testament where Jesus is our mediator. In other words, he goes between the Father and us. And you say, well, the Father's not, he's not our adversary. Well, if you've got sin in your life, God cannot be around sin, and holiness devours sin every time. And so he's our mediator in the sense that God poured out his wrath on Jesus. Jesus goes to the Father and he presents things to us and talks, pray, the Bible even says in Romans, I think it's chapter 8, I believe, where we don't even know what to pray, but yet the Holy Spirit, it's the Spirit of Jesus, intercedes on our behalf. But he also stands between us and sin and death, that we will die one day, but that's not the final word. That the devil wants to kill, steal, and destroy us, to sift us like wheat. But Jesus is like, well, they got to go through me to do that. Anything that ever happens to us has to go through the hands of God before it gets to us. And if it happens to us, God is allowing it for a reason, even if it's painful and it doesn't make sense, which may bother you. I get that. You can read the book of Job and you can see this very thing happening. The devil attacks Job, but he has to get permission from God first. And I'm opening up a can here with this, but that's really pretty deep theology, but that's true. I mean, when you say, you mean that terrible thing happened, God let it happen, he must be terrible. God's got a bigger perspective than we do, for sure. All right. Anything else? What was we've been talking for a few minutes about the biggest takeaway from tonight's message. Instead of me showing you a bunch of slides, which I've got them, I just would rather see your face and hear from you. So any other big takeaways from tonight, something that jumped out to you? I'm going to read. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. What in the world did he mean, the cup overflowing? Anybody have any clues about that? What does that have to do with you and me, by the way? Anybody?
Okay, I could be like completely wrong, but it kind of makes sense to me to think that like the cup, okay, bear with me here. Like the cup, what it can hold is like what we think we need and like what we feel like we need ourselves. But then the idea of it overflowing is that shows how God knows so much more than we do, and he knows how much we need. And so to us, it's overflowing because we thought we didn't need him as much, but we need him so much.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of what I kind of think.
Okay, that's good points. The more I study Psalm 23, the more I am convinced Jesus had Psalm 23 in mind when he was speaking in John chapter 10, where he says, I'm the great shepherd. He says, I am the gate. He says, I've come to give you life. The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but I've come to give you life more abundantly. Y'all, that life more abundantly is the cup overflowing. Jesus says, I am the gate. He's basically saying, that God prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. I mean, he is in between, the enemy, the devil and us and things like that. But yeah, the cup overflowing is a picture of an abundant life. You don't just have enough, you've got more than enough. So, question, do you really believe that God gives you more than enough? Has that been your experience? Yes or no? Why or why not? Anybody want to comment on that?
I don't think he gives us more than enough. I think he gives us what we need, but sometimes that might be more than what we expect.
Good point. Can anybody do better than that comment? That's a really good one.
Sometimes,
Or really just drop the mic. All right, Chris, what do you got?
sometimes I think that sometimes God will give us more than what we need, so we'll share it with others.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people take the Bible and they make it seem like God's job is to give you everything you want and to make you rich and to bless you. Now, God does bless you, but God doesn't bless you for you. Anytime God gives you a gift, it's always for somebody else's benefit. When I give my kids a gift, it's always for their benefit. But God's not like me. God gives a gift with somebody else in mind. He does that with spiritual gifts. When he gives you a spiritual gift, like you're good at teaching or preaching or praying or whatever that gift might be. You usually have more than one. It's not just for your benefit. It's really for somebody else's benefit. And that's the way he is with blessings. Chris makes a very good point that, he gives us exactly what we need. And sometimes what he gives us, what we need, is not what we really thought he would give us. But like Mitchell said, it's sometimes more than we expected, So there's a quote that Craig Groeschel, pastor in Oklahoma, always says. He says, if God always met your expectations, he would never have a chance to exceed them. That's a deep quote. If God always met your expectations, he'd never have a chance to exceed them. That's pretty crazy deep. What's up, Ava Claire and Kinley? I know you've been on here a while. I just want to say, hey, saw you guys jumped on. We're just talking about the big takeaways from the message tonight. If you didn't happen to see it, it's cool. You can go back and watch it. It will be on our YouTube page as well. If you didn't watch it, you missed people getting barbecue sauce and honey and M&Ms all over their selves. All right. Any other thoughts from tonight's message? I'm dying to know where the Spurlins are going. It's like I'm watching National Lampoon's Vacation.
We're actually just sitting at Sonic waiting on the drink. So.
You're sitting at Sonic? You guys are awesome. Yeah. Is it like corn dog night? I can't even hear you very well, but Lindsay, you're in two places at once. That's kind of bizarre. All right. Any other big takeaways from tonight before we shift gears? I want to do something kind of fun before we go tonight. If you just jumped on late, we had a lively discussion about reopening down the road. We won't recap that. Satori, you wanted to say something. What do you got?
I was just gonna comment on another thing that I got, where you said that he was aware of your hurt. Like, he knows what you're going through. He knows what you're gonna go through. He knows what you have gone through, and he's not standing back going, haha, look what happened. He cares for you, and he loves you, and he wants you, because he didn't want you to hurt and suffer. But he knows that because we have sinned, that's part of our lives, that we are going to hurt, but we can hand that hurt to him because he loves us and he cares for us so much, and he will take it, and you just have to give it to him.
Yep. And that's the hard part sometimes, giving it to him, because we kind of want to fix it ourselves. I'm going to read a verse to you guys if I can find it real quick. All right. Same guy that wrote Psalm 23, David, wrote, and if you want to write this down or remember it and go back and look at it later, This is Psalm 56, verse 8. David writes, talking about God, you keep track of all my sorrows. You've collected all my tears in a bottle, and you have recorded each one in your book. I'm going to say it again. You keep track of all my sorrows. You've collected all my tears in your bottle, and you've recorded each one in your book. That says God is aware and he knows. And then I think about Revelation, I think it's 22, where Jesus says, I'm going to wipe away every tear from your eyes. I don't think this is just, oh, clean yourself up. I almost think it's like, it doesn't say he's pouring a bottle out and pointing those out, but he is saying, I'm aware of each one of your pain, heartache, suffering because of the sinful, broken world you live in. But man, that's the God we serve. He knows every hair on your head. Jesus said that. He knows when the sparrow falls. If he knows when the sparrow falls, he knows about you. If you want to go back and read Matthew 6, I talked about it a little bit tonight in the message. God, don't worry about what you're going to eat, drink, wear. God knows your needs. He'll supply them. He knows your hurts for sure. But man, that's one of my favorite verses in the Old Testament. Psalm 56, 8. It's a good one to memorize. I would say get tattooed, but I don't want to endorse anything crazy here tonight. So tattoo it in your brain. How about that? There you go. Not on your forehead, Harley, your brain. There you go. There you go. Oh, now we're showing tattoos off, Jesse. Way to go, Marine. Come on. What do the Marines do? What is their chant? Is it hoo-ha? What is it? I'm Yep. Face palm. I knew I was going to make her face. I knew she was going to go, oh my gosh, you're so embarrassing, Brandon. What are Marines? What is their chant? I want to know.
It's ooh-rah.
It's hoorah.
Ooh-rah.
Ooh-rah.
Yes.
Is that similar to the Hanson song Bop?
Maybe. I don't know.
Ooh-rah.
Possibly.
Is that do other branches have different chants or whatever that is?
Yes.
Okay.
I know the Army is like hua. I think the Navy is like, I
Splish
don't even know
splash.
what the Navy is. Yeah, splish splash because they're squids.
Okay.
No, Navy
don't-
is hoo-ah. Just like there's two of them that's the same, and it's Navy and Army. I think that's the same.
If you put all of the armed services chants together, it would be ooh-ee, ooh-ah-ah, ting-tang, walla-walla, bing-bang. Is that true? I think that's true.
Pretty
I think
much.
that's so true. And then you got the Coast Guard. I don't know.
It's funny going to like one of their events, like the ball, and
Yeah.
their master sergeant or whoever will be giving a speech, and they'll be like, "Rah!" Like the whole crowd will be roaring.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine if in the
or they'll
church
say
world,
kill, or they'll say kill. They'll be like kill. It's a fun thing to experience.
well, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, we just say amen in the church. I mean, what if the church had like a hoorah, man, I got a story. I'm going to tell this to you guys. I'm going to stop the recording because I don't want this getting out. Okay. Stop my video. All right, I'm back. Hang on just a second.